Harry's Wife, The Less Than Royal Narcissist, Part 48.1. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. There has been further activity in the world of the royals and involving Harry's wife, and this provides us with yet more opportunity to explain to you what's actually going on, to demonstrate how many people just don't get it, and also to enable you to extend your understanding about narcissism, narcissists, and the narcissistic dynamic. Before I begin, please do like this video, subscribe to my channel, turn the notifications on, and share the absolute bastard out of these videos to everybody that you can in order to spread this education and to ensure that they get to experience the velvety tones of your humble narrator here. What I have done, as I have been doing in recent parts of this series, is take a number of news items appertaining to Harry's wife and the royal family and dissect them, putting them through the prism of narcissism to aid your understanding. As always, I leave it to you to establish the veracity of the information in terms of the news reports. I am providing you with the analysis and interpretation. We have had, of course, the 10th wedding anniversary of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. And this anniversary provides us with a useful opportunity to explain how this would be regarded by Harry's wife, to enable you also to understand how does the narcissist react to the good news of other people, birthdays, anniversaries, for example, securing a promotion, getting a lottery win, coming first in a race. What is the response of the narcissist in those circumstances? To begin with, utilize an article by Sarah Vine for the Daily Mail. The headline is, "Eat Your Heart Out. Harry and Harry's Wife, the Cambridge's slick new home movie is a touch of Bowden but utterly charming." Now, it's clear from this headline that there is no misunderstanding as to which team Sarah Vine belongs to, and it's going to be Team Cambridge. And therefore, I anticipate that the content of this piece is not exactly going to be pro-Harry and pro-Harry's wife, and would have Harry's wife chomping into a chicken of authenticity in order to contain her rage at the threat to control posed by the content of this article. That said, it's important nevertheless to understand how would a narcissist react to both the content of this article and the fact that it is the 10th wedding anniversary of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. The article commences reminiscent of a particular Christmas song, reading as follows: "Marshmallows toasting on an open fire, rosy cheeks and cosy jumpers, squeals of laughter, and loving glances, wellies and utility jackets, hearty walks and hide-and-seek in the bushes, distant waves on the horizon, and, of course, the Duchess of Cambridge looking simply smashing in a fedora. All praise so far, and, of course, if Harry's wife were reading this, it would amount to wounding, because it's praise, positive fuel, going to somebody else. Now, of course, the Duchess of Cambridge doesn't require fuel, but from the narcissist perspective, anybody else's fuel, so that's the emotional output, so smiles, saying that was brilliant, or even saying that was useless, crying, praising, admiring, whatever it is, if that is directed elsewhere, the narcissist is not only being starved of fuel, but the narcissist feels wounded because it's not about us. And the provision of fuel somewhere else is problematic, extremely problematic to the narcissist, causing a sensation in the unaware narcissist of annoyance, irritation. The envy starts to rise. The annoyance at what is being written, And this is all being generated by the narcissism for the purposes of ensuring that the narcissist reacts in some form to deal with this wounding, which of course is a threat to the narcissist's sense of control. Now, of course, Harry's wife may not be aware of this article. She will, of course, be aware of the fact that it is the wedding anniversary of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and more on that later. But were she to read this article, then of course it would cause repeated wounding, because the gushing fuel coming from Sarah Vine, albeit a tertiary source and in writing, so it's not a large amount, is going to the wrong person. It should be coming to Harry's wife, but it's not, and this will cause wounding. Also, the Duchess of Cambridge is painted black, and this is yet another slap across the face, metaphorically speaking, for Harry's wife, with the cold cod of envy, causing her to be reminded that she isn't as important as the to-be queen consort. And her paranoia, that's always churning within the narcissist, will engender those sensations of, it's not fair. How does she get all of this praise? Causing the pouring of scorn on what has been produced by way of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's family video released on their anniversary. The article continues. This is the new video released by the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge to mark their 10th wedding anniversary. A charming portrait of family life set in the garden of their home in Norfolk and the sand dunes nearby. Hard to believe it's 10 years. It feels like longer, or it does to me at any rate. I think that's in large part to do with the fact that they become so much part of the royal landscape, such a constant, consistent presence. It's really quite hard to imagine the monarchy without them. All high praise indeed. And of course, all of this will be a veiled response to Harry and his wife by saying, you're instantly forgettable, you're not really part of it any longer, but look at these stalwarts, look at these rocks of the monarchy, one can't imagine being without them. And even though the praise is coming from a tertiary source, assuming that Sarah Vine and Harry's wife are not well acquainted with one another, and that because it's in writing it's not a large amount of fuel, the fact remains that seeing this, and the gushing praise included in it, will ignite the fury of Harry's wife, were she reading it. And, of course, the article provides us with a number of pictures. The first one shows the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge playing around with their children in the video. A charming portrait of family life. And then the Duke and Duchess share a loving look as the Duchess places a hand lovingly on William's knee as they laugh contentedly. And there looks like a dog in the background, unless that's Harry's wife's Abyss making an appearance on the sand dune. And again, a picture of contentment wounds the narcissist. We're envious of your contentment. We hate seeing it in others. And a further picture of William looking the doting father, with son George and daughter Charlotte in the video as his family released on their social media channels. So, the release of this video, of course, is a blast from the Cambridge camp to say, life is sweet. And, of course, there is a degree of look at us. Because remember, non-narcissists have empathic traits of pride and of vanity and showmanship. They are ordinarily kept in check by the empathic traits, but demonstrating this for the purpose of saying, come and have a look at our world, see how happy we are. And the distinction here is, although there is showcasing going on, that it's done within the empathic traits. So it's more a case of, we would like to share this with you, not because we want to show that we're better and more brilliant than you, and of course we need to control you and draw fuel from you, but rather it's done within the empathic traits of decency and moral compass, to say to people, look, we're very happy, and we'd just like to share that with you. We don't want you to feel bad about that. We don't want you to lavish us with praise for it, but we're doing it to give you a glimpse of our lives and to demonstrate that we are blessed and we are happy. And that is the response of empathic individuals, whether they are normals with emotional empathy or empaths with emotional empathy. The article continues. In truth, though, they're only just getting started. Hopefully they will have many more years of happy adventures as they journey through life together. What's so lovely about this couple is that you get a real sense that they share so many common goals, that their relationship is very evenly balanced. So important of a union is to stand the test of time, especially considering the pressures they face. Indeed, at every turn, it is notable just how incredibly functional they seem, not just a couple, but also as a family. But these two really do make it look easy, whether it's playing golf for the cameras or zooming away for their various charities. Note the reference to the relationship being very evenly balanced and the fact that it's able to stand the test of time because of the pressures that are being faced. Now, this might be a veiled reference to the lack of balance between the controlling narcissist and her prey. Of course, one might be reading too much into that. But understand this. Were a narcissist reading this, the paranoia of the narcissist would cause the narcissist to think that this was a reference to them. Remember, everything has to revolve around the narcissist. And in some instance, for example, and those of you who have been listening to my excellent series Narcissist Ensnared will know that one of the characters in that, Ashley, talks about how a song was specifically written for her. Of course, the song wasn't, but her magical thinking caused it to be the case because everything has to revolve around her. And I'd invite you, if you haven't done so already, to start with Narcissist Seduction. You'll find a playlist and Narcissist Ensnared. There's also a playlist on my channel. And embrace that, as you'll find not only a magnificent and entertaining story, but it'll further your education about narcissism also. Just like the character Ashley, Harry's wife, reading this article, if you were to do so, would read into matters to make it about her, stating, that comment there, that's directed at me. Often it isn't, and it is the paranoia of the narcissist or the magical thinking which causes the narcissist to think that something good is directed at them and that something bad is directed at them. Why? Because the narcissism does that to make the narcissist assert control by making everything about them. So, were Harry's wife to be reading this article, she is likely, because of the paranoia driving her behaviours, to see that the comment about the relationship being very evenly balanced is cocking a snook to suggest that her relationship isn't very evenly balanced. Now, of course, we can all see that it isn't. Harry is the lapdog being paraded around with a banana of empowerment popped in his gob to keep him quiet in order to stop him making surprised expressions in any interviews that come his way after the Oprah bombshell interview. It is not an evenly balanced relationship. But of course, Harry's wife won't see it that way, because the narcissism will tell her it is a balanced one in order to reject rather the threat to control as seen in the content of this article. The article continues, which is why I'm so intrigued by this new video. Yes, it looks a bit too much like an advert for a building society or one of those middle-class holiday camps where there's no Wi-Fi and everyone gets up at 5 a.m. to go bike riding. Style by Bowden, of course. But even amid all the slick editing and artful slow-motion shots, it was made by Will Waugh, who is a very successful content provider for corporate brands, including Tesco and Uber Eats, to name but a few. Bit of product placement there by Sarah Vine. Must be a couple of thousand coming her way for that. Their authenticity, oh dear, their authenticity shines through. Those chickens of authenticity might just have flown the roost and be landing in Norfolk, where, of course, it is very much turkey and chicken land, as those of you who are British and are familiar with the late Bernard Matthews. The article concludes, they are clearly a close family, so comfortable in each other's company, and yet at the same time, each one has room to express themselves as individuals, especially the children, and it is nice, for once, to see the Duchess in front of the camera with her family rather than behind it, as she tends to be these days. Again, that accords to the Duchess of Cambridge's lack of the need to always be seen by other people in front of the camera, lack of showmanship and showcasing on her part. The final sentence is telling. What Harry and his wife will make of it is anyone's guess. But from where I'm sitting, that freezing cold windswept beach in Norfolk looks a darn sight sunnier than California. Now, of course, this article is pro-Team Cambridge, and evidently the author has very little favouritism at all for Harry and his wife, and is expressing an opinion in that regard. But, first of all, we have the video that's released by the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, which, as the author of the article refers to, does look like a rather stylised production. How would that be received? Because, invariably, it will have been viewed or brought to the attention of Harry's wife. It will, of course, wound. It shows a group of people who are higher up in the hierarchy of the royal family, content, 10 years under the belt of marriage, 3 children, roaming through the sand dunes on the beach at Norfolk, and portraying an idyllic picture of family life. That will burn for Harry's wife. She will be wounded. Her envy at seeing this idyllic scenario will cause her to need to assert control. It will threaten her control through the wounding, and undoubtedly remarks will have been made in the moment to cronies and supporters within the coterie, disparaging the content of it, passing judgmental remarks about the individuals in it, perhaps making reference to William's balding pate, and perhaps unfairly criticising what the children are wearing. Remember, nothing is outside the boundaries of attack for a narcissist. It is just the circumstances that dictate whether it occurs because of facade management. It may well be a dismissive remark about it in terms of, it's not bad for what it is, a sort of backhanded compliment. But either way, it will have been necessary for Harry's wife to deal with this production in a dismissive manner in that moment when it was brought to her attention. And furthermore, if she happened to read this particular article, which is questionable, but if she did, that would similarly wound, and again would prompt the need to assert control, most likely indirectly through dismissive comments about it to members of the coterie. But then there was a response, of course, from Team Sussex to the occurrence of the 10th wedding anniversary of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and that provides us with an instrumental examination of the response of the narcissist, which I'm going to explain to you in part 2. Join me there for further analysis.